Ruben Brandt is an animation film about a famous psychotherapist specialized in art therapy who is suffering from terrible nightmares in which some of the most famous paintings in history appear and attack him. Deciding to literally possess what torments him, he attempts to steal every famous piece of art that is haunting him, accompanied by his 4 patients, who just so happen to be expert thieves. Together they strike regularly and with great success, managing to steal from the most renowned museums and private collections in the world. The collector, as they term it in the media, quickly becomes the most wanted criminal in the world, and while the reward for his capture keeps rising, a cartel of insurance companies entrusts a private detective and leading expert on art theft to solve the case and capture the collector. This film is one of the most unexpectedly cool and at the same time artful films I have seen in recent memory. You truly get the sense from the very get-go that the universe of the film, while it is heavily anchored in our real world, it has this sort of surrealism to it, this sort of heightened reality, also obviously because it is animated, but also the way it is animated I think is important to take note of, because the animation style here is sort of this very precise, very clean, very symmetrical and colorful style, constructed out of simple geometrical shapes and forms, and all the characters are represented in the cubist tradition of abstracted form. Considering the nature of the plot, I think the animation style here suits the story perfectly, seeing as we oftentimes get to witness Ruben Brandt be literally sucked into these paintings and be terrorized by the figures from within him. Sometimes he wakes up from a nightmare only to find himself directly in another nightmare, not to mention the fact that he is an art therapist, so the whole style kind of creates this sort of abstract overlap in which everything we, the viewers, see in the film is abstract and surreal to us, but everything Ruben sees in reality as well as in his dreams is pretty realistic to him. So what we get is this incredibly meta film about art with an immense amount of references. I think almost every single frame of this film has some sort of reference to something in the art world, and not just high art, also cinema as well. So there's that, but this film is also very much an action film and a heist film with some pretty fucking impressive and fun set pieces. We have all sorts of set pieces, from car chases that turn into helicopter chases, that turn into parkour chases. There are also some fight scenes that are pretty funny. The film is really no slouch. It moves incredibly quickly from one thing to the next, and it really tries to spend every single second of its runtime to completely dazzle you with its excellent style, which is what you'll get the most out of, because despite the fact that the story and the characters are pretty thin, I definitely think they make an impression. Just like the universe of this film sort of feels like it has this kind of abstract and heightened feel to it, I think so do the characters. None of these characters actually feel like they are behaving or talking like regular human beings. They more so feel like caricatures, like real cartoon characters with not a lot of depth. The only characters that are more fleshed out in the film are Ruben, Mike, who is the private detective, and Mimi, who I'll talk about in just a minute. Now, these are the characters who feel like they have more realistic personalities, like they have backstories, and it's made pretty clear from the get-go that they'll probably have some sort of character arc as well. Which is good because you get some questions raised in the beginning of the film that you kind of expect to be answered later. Like, why is Ruben having these nightmares? Who is Mike's father, who his mother continuously refuses to talk about, and stuff like that. So you get all of these things that you kind of expect to be tied up and to come to some sort of conclusion in the third act. And they do conclude, but the problem I had at the end of this film is that I kind of felt like nothing really happens because of these conclusions. I kind of felt like the movie goes, well, here it goes, now you know the truth. And I was like, okay, I'm glad I found out and these characters found out the truth, but what are the consequences of those truths being found out now? Probably the coolest and most fun character in the film is Mimi, one of Ruben's patients, who is a kleptomaniac burglar who actually works for a gangster, but because of her kleptomania actually ends up stealing something else than what she was supposed to, and then gets into all sorts of trouble because of this. Now, I thought that was an incredibly funny and clever idea for a character. This is a character who is a stunt woman, a stunt driver, an acrobat, and a parkour star, so she's incredibly skilled at getting in and out of places, at avoiding danger, avoiding authorities. She's incredibly fast on her feet and fast in a car. And I think she's also a pretty ironic character as well, because she comes to Ruben in order to be cured of her kleptomania, as she claims, But I really don't think she does, and Ruben ends up using her skills in order to steal the paintings anyway. All of the other characters in the film are pretty much two-dimensional and even one-dimensional, some of them, especially the ones from Ruben's group, the other ones, who all have some sort of special skill. Like one of them is some sort of hacker, the other one can impersonate statues, and one of them is literally two-dimensional, so he can hide anywhere. And this literally felt like a pun the film is making about itself, and about the fact that it has all of these characters who are both figuratively as well as literally depthless. These are especially the characters who really don't feel like real human beings. The way they talk, their accents, the way they behave, their actions, all feel incredibly caricaturized. So to summarize, this is a really fun and incredibly cool and a very charming and delightful film. There's a lot to take in from it, especially visually. It's incredibly rewatchable, and while the plot might be a little bit uneven, especially towards the ending kind of left me a little bit confused. I thought it was a little bit too debatable what happens there at the end. I was kind of like looking and expecting some sort of sequel to be hiding somewhere around the corner for this movie, but nevertheless, it will definitely be one of my favorite films from this year, I think, for sure, and I would highly recommend it. So my question to you guys would be, what are some of your favorite animation films that are more for adults rather than for kids or just for kids? Really curious to know about your answers. Don't forget to leave them down below in the comment section. Thanks for watching my review, folks. As always, I highly appreciate it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can see me later in other reviews. And until that happens, folks, what can I say? Stay cool, stay awesome, and keep on loving movies, people. Bye bye.